Good news, everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Lee.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
Oh, no. It's every nightmare I've ever had.
Excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
you know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What is up, you ducks? And final day of Merry Christmas week, or Happy Holidays for anybody else. It is Jeff Ratcliffe and myself. It is All in Football, the most accurate ranking show of all time, Jeff. Over on Bets TV, you can watch BetsTV.com YouTube channel. I know it's towards the end of the season, but please keep the thumbs up, the subscribes, the likes, the comments after the shows, all that type of stuff. Don't give up on us now. We're not giving up on you, and we will be here through Week 18 if any of you insane people are trying to play Week 18. I'll probably talk more just like general. Maybe you can do a 1 week thing or DFS, whatever it might be. But follow Jeff at Jeff Ratcliffe. Make sure you're checking out the SiriusXM show and CBS on Sunday mornings. Is that an ugly holiday T-shirt, Chris? Chris,
not
Jeff,
even ugly.
I can't see it. All I can see is greetings from. Oh, okay.
Dunder
Yes,
Mifflin,
definitely not.
Baby, Dunder Mifflin.
Definitely not. Definitely
no, it's not ugly at all. I think it's quite good looking.
I have the ugly Star Wars Christmas sweater going on. I wore this with Pat earlier today and kept it on. It is, and that it's also slanted a little bit. I don't know if that was intentional or it's just lazy printing. Like you never know with the ugly.
You get that off a website from China or?
No, I mean on Amazon, so it might have been. You never know.
Same thing.
It might have been fed through that way.
Sorry, Jeff Bezos, if you're listening right now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's listening too. Did you know, by the way? Speaking of, you don't know what you made me think of this. Speaking of, I looked up the numbers, so it's probably changed within the year. But the day that Patrick Mahomes signed that insane contract, the $50 million contract, did you know that if Patrick Mahomes had been making that contract money, had been doing that since Jesus was born, he would still have to double down to be worth what Jeff Bezos is worth? Just think about that. 2,000 plus years of making $50 million a year, and you're still not Jeff Bezos.
It's mind-boggling. It really is.
Isn't it? Like what kind of that's not even real money. That's, you know what that is? That's Scrooge McDuck money. That is DuckTales. Woohoo. There you go. Let's try to get through what people are trying to get through and make sense of week 16, because week 15 was as crazy as you could possibly get, especially if you're waiting on some of the COVID situations. And it looks like it could be another one of those already, Jeff. We've got the Jets are starting to run through it. They're already up to what was it, 13, 15, something like that before we came.
Today.
Yeah. The wrong Michael Carter, the Michael Carter defensive player, not the running back, has been listed, but you never know. That bears monitoring. So let's kind of talk through some of the stuff we can, Jeff. Elijah Mitchell, if he practices, that's the question we have, because everybody out there knows what to do if he doesn't. You play Jeff Wilson, Debo's going to get another rushing touchdown. But if Elijah Mitchell comes back, is this potentially a downfall similar to what we just saw with Darrell Henderson, and that he's going to be the backup now because Jeff Wilson's played well? Or has Shanahan tipped his hand enough this year to say that we know when Mitchell's there, Mitchell is 100% the guy?
I would hesitate to say that Jeff Wilson has played well. I think he put up a decent fantasy line for people.
Well-ish.
Yeah, but I would hesitate to say that he has played well. With McVay, that was also an interesting situation too. Darrell Henderson barely playing, Sony Michel showing that he can certainly handle that workload. I don't think this is the same at all. I think that if Elijah Mitchell is back, we've actually been down this road multiple times. We can't selectively ignore the past when it comes to fantasy football and what these teams do. They're going right back to him. Now, this is also a defense that just completely shut down Najee Harris, though, so that is probably the bigger concern on the other side of the football.
So would you say Elijah Mitchell over Jeff Wilson? And then would you even try to risk starting either one of them?
If Mitchell is active, then I'm using him, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of think this comes into play as well. Now, Mitchell's, at least as of right now, Mitchell's actually an injury. It's not the COVID situation. But I was talking to Pat earlier today, Jeff, and I said, you know what Week 15 kind of told me? And it's going to be a case-by-case basis, but the broad sense of this seems to be where I'm going with it, is that with people who have symptoms and COVID, they're a lot riskier than maybe we are given credit for. Like Darrell Henderson included. Myles Gaskin didn't get his workload back. Probably does this week according to reports. But like Jalen Waddle's coming back. We don't know if he was symptomatic or not. Maybe we can get some clarity. Travis Kelce just got put on it. Maybe he clears by Sunday. And I'm not saying you're benching Travis Kelce, but there's other names out there already. So like, are you going to go down the road of like, if they're symptomatic, do you bump them down your rankings, or do you just put them in there and you say, we can't really do anything about it. Let's just roll and see what happens.
This is the thing. How clear is the reporting? I
Right.
don't think the reporting is very clear. And now the testing is murky as well, because it's not as if these guys are – the vaccinated players previously were being tested once a week. Now they're being tested kind of at random unless they exhibit symptoms or voluntarily decide to test. So we really don't know.
I said random in quotes because there was a lot of Chiefs tested after that matchup with the Chargers.
Well, that's the third, though, is if they are close contact. If they are deemed to be close contact, then they will be tested. So we don't know if they're symptomatic or not. You know, my initial thought with this new batch was, given the new testing, they almost certainly have to be symptomatic. But then investigating a little bit further, I don't know if that is the case.
It's not. Well, I actually found that out from Lindsay over at The Athletic. I got the clarification on it because the Travis Kelce one was the one that I wanted to know. I was like, does he have symptoms? So basically, it's if you have COVID and you're put on the list, doesn't mean you have symptoms. It just means you got tested positive. So
tested positive. That's
up in the air. And then, as you said, it's the reporting. We're not getting the full word on everything like that. So let me just say it this way: Jarvis Landry, here's an example, should be coming back this week. Symptoms. Is Jarvis Landry a wide receiver 3, or do you push him down to a wide receiver 4 because he might not be 100%? I think that's kind of like what some people will try to have to play through, because we will get some reports who's symptomatic and not 100%, but that's kind of the overarching question I have for you.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I'm not happy about him as a wide receiver 3 regardless, but then when you look at the pool of wide receivers we're dealing with right now, I think you kind of just have to put him there. You do. And each situation is going to be different. Yes, Darrell Henderson, Myles Gaskin, but we have also seen players who have gotten back on the field in normal workload. So we thought last year was bad, Jake, right? This is way worse than last year.
This is 100% worse. And that's why I told people, I don't know if you are on the same page as me, as you agree is what I'm saying, but I told people last year – we talked about like Thursday, it'd be like, he might have COVID. He might sit Sunday night. Like we had to play this kind of waiting game. And I said the contingency plan last year was like, okay, you have somebody playing at Sunday at 1:00. I will play blank player unless blank player actually plays on Sunday night. And then even if the one that was the contingency plan scores more, it's still no, you made the statement, the original guy goes in. I said, you need to keep that for this year. Like, don't make it go away. Like, still, like, because if we wait till, let's say, Alvin Kamara, like, announce a contingency plan now. Say, I'm starting Ramondre Stevenson unless Alvin Kamara plays, because Alvin Kamara Monday morning might get hit with the COVID situation. Like, I'd still hold on to that contingency situation we dealt with last year is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I think that's what we have to do at this point.
By the way, like I'm seeing people asking these questions about Kelce, Hill. So this time last week, before we've had these multiple revisions to the COVID policy, I was telling people to expect 7 to 8 days for vaccinated players.
Right.
Von Miller showed us it can be done in 5 days on this new policy. So we don't know. You know, he could have been asymptomatic the entire time, but was popping negative tests and then finally popping positive tests and then finally popped a negative and then, obviously cleared. That could be the case for Kelce. It could be the case for Hill, and it's going to be razor thin for Hill. However, if anybody pops up today for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's almost certainly a situation where they will not play. So
until they potentially get their game pushed back to Tuesday,
which could very well happen. It could very well happen. That's a game, obviously, with Pittsburgh where they are in the picture. with the
Both
gravitas
sides,
of the two teams, that's a game that the NFL would probably prioritize. So,
and if you notice, for everybody, yeah, Heineke didn't play, Landry didn't return, Lockett didn't return, but there was a lot of defensive players for Washington that came back. If you saw it trickling in over Monday and then early Tuesday morning, there were some that didn't, but there was a heavy dose that got a lot of people back. So again, we're going to have to update. Jeff and I are going to update our ranks on our sites all week long, all the way through Sunday. And then if there are games on Tuesday, we will help you out. Obviously, we can't change the rankings after that, but we'll help give advice. So let's talk about some of the things we can know, and we do know as of right now. A.J. Brown is going to play on Thursday night. A.J. Brown has a chest injury. There's conflicting reports with how healthy he is, Jeff, because there's some people saying, like, all right, he's ready to roll. He's on a good timeline. Then there's some saying Tennessee's in the playoff hunt. They can't afford another loss. Julio Jones, they lost him again, so they're kind of forcing him back. Whatever it might be, we have to make this decision. A.J. Brown plays on Thursday night. Do you play him in his first game back against San Francisco? And how high would you rank him? Does he even get into wide receiver 2 territory in his first game back for you?
I don't think he gets into wide receiver 2 territory. I do think that he is top 30 because he's essentially going to be the top target there, obviously with Julio banged up. And I think if you've waited this long, you're probably going to have to end up using him unless, I mean, let's face it though, still, if you're playing right now, you're one of 4 teams left in most leagues out there. And so that means you're probably doing pretty well for yourself. You may not have to use him, but yeah, I do think I'll be ranking him as a wide receiver 3. And we know he has touchdown upside. That's really what you're banking on here. But obviously,
you're banking on a 3 or a 20.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's really.
Yeah, so I think that midpoint's roundabout right around top 30.
And let me phrase this to you. So that one of the things that I pulled into a conversation with 2 wide receivers, Jeff. At this point, I think A.J. Brown, not knowing how healthy he is in the same conversation as 2 healthy wide receivers who have been a lot more missed than hit, and that's Amari Cooper and DK Metcalf. I think all 3 of those are basically in the same conversation now.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Dallas, just in general, it's yeah. That's a big reason in a home league, a 2-quarterback superflex league. Dak Prescott, I thought I got him at a steal on draft day because I weighted quarterbacks. You know how I play it. Thought I got him at a steal, and he just down the stretch here was a big reason why I'm not playing in that league in the semifinals. It's just been really tough.
Well, then let me ask you that. Let's say somehow you survived and you have Dak Prescott. How far are you going down where you're benching Dak Prescott? Like, are we talking about outside the top 10? Are we talking Justin Fields, Tyler Huntley / Lamar Jackson? People are still in their playoffs, and there's a lot of people that want to, and rightfully so, Jeff, bench Dak Prescott at this point.
Yeah, they do. I just don't know how. I think Justin Fields is pushing it. I really do. I think there's just too much volatility there. Tyler Huntley, we can look back to last week and was an absolute monster, but is Lightning going to strike twice with that one? I don't know if I could do that. Taysom Hill, if you picked him up,
I have him and Dak back to back right now.
Yeah, me too. That's the trick right there.
Kirk Cousins against the Rams or Dak Prescott? Actually, I'd say Cousins is the safer floor, actually.
I'd just be concerned that he doesn't throw much.
Well, I know. That's why I said floor. That's the 100%. Like, okay, you're going to get you 13. At least you know Kirk Cousins, you're going to get between 13 and 17. Dak might get you 3 or 20. It's the A.J. Brown of quarterbacks.
And it really hurts because the floor element of Dak historically was what he did with his legs, and that's not him this year for obvious reasons, but it's just not him this year, so it really does hurt.
The funny thing is there's 3 quarterbacks that's happening with. Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson doesn't seem to want to run anymore. Even before he hurt his finger, he didn't really want to run. And Kyler Murray, I checked this out last night, Jeff, and the Kyler Murray numbers are abysmally worse this year for Kyler Murray. Not only does he not want to run, he's averaging almost half the yards per carry when he actually runs, which is just killing him because he's not running as much, and he's not running well when he runs as much, mostly probably because the threat's different. So he's kind of been killing his own game in real life and fantasy because you take that dimension away. I mean, that's really why we've seen the success of Lamar Jackson this year, is because earlier this year, the running was offsetting the fact that defenses were trying to play deep cover 2 on Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown in the passing game took a step forward. They pull forward. Lamar Jackson runs off for 70 yards. It says, pick your poison. At this point, Kyler Murray's taking away a facet of his game that makes defenses honest.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
would you play Kyler Murray or Tom Brady down Chris Godwin and, for argument's sake, as of today, Mike Evans?
And Leonard Fournette.
And Leonard Fournette.
Because
We're going to get to Ronald Jones in a second.
Yeah, but I mean in the passing game.
Right, of
Ronald
course.
Jones isn't going to do anything in the passing game. I'm still using Kyler Murray. I feel like, I give this advice all the time. This isn't the time of the fantasy season to reinvent the wheel. So we're going to do what got us here. And right. Jake, how many times has this happened to you? I always say on my radio show, I'm telling you all this advice, not because I'm making it up. It's literally because I've made this mistake like 15 times already. We overthink it. We go, okay, well, yeah, Kyler's trending down and I'm just going to go with Brady. And then Kyler puts up like a 40 burger, right? Where the obvious answer all along was just to start him, go into battle with your soldiers. And I don't think you're going to be faced with that decision, but you might be faced with a Kyler Joe Burrow or a Kyler Kirk Cousins or something along those lines. And I'm just not going to overthink it.
Yeah, I'm with you, and then not overthinking. Here's one for you on a different side of it. You're still going Tom Brady over Taysom Hill, though, correct?
Correct.
And I phrase that because that is my answer for the person that asked to set that up for you. So, Les, how about this one? Well, no, I'm not going to answer your question yet. Boo Truss, I'm guessing. I'm going to get to you in a second because we're going to talk about some of these wide receivers. They're on the slate here, and these running backs are on the slate here. So, let's go to Green Bay for a second. And I've been saying this all year long, Jeff. I know I rank them as wide receiver 4s, both of them, but I don't ever play Allen Lazard or Marquez Valdez-Scantling, ever, because they alternate. They're the Saints. They're the they're the Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway. You picked one the 1 week, guess what? It's the other guy. Then it's neither of them. Then it's both of them. Like, just stop. However, if Valdez-Scantling is out because he got put on the COVID list yesterday, still could return, but for argument's sake here, if you take him out of the equation, Jeff, do you feel better about Allen Lazard? Or is it just going to be Equanimeous St. Brown?
Or somebody else. Yeah, I don't feel better. And I do think, yeah, you guess wrong every single time. You miss the big MVS games. You miss the big Lazard games because you're always going the other direction. I don't think MVS gets through based on the timeline. If it was a Sunday game, I'd feel a lot more confident. But being that it is the Christmas Day game, I don't know about that one. I would try and fade this unless I'm desperate. Now, the good news is if you're desperate, Lazard, I will have him ranked roundabout wide receiver 40, maybe a tick ahead of that. Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback. You don't really need analysis here. And Jake, since COVID, basically, he's been MVP level. He's been excellent. So at least you have that, but obviously you would expect a full dose of Adams. You'd expect
I
the
just
backfield.
caught that. Did you call it Tovid?
I did call it Tovid.
I like it. Well done with that. All right, so Michael Pittman, bad matchup last week. Away from the matchup, got tossed from the game. No concerns that if you survive with Michael Pittman, you're going right back to him, are you not?
Correct.
Again, phrased it as I just picked out some interesting situations as I was going through the games that I think people might be thinking about. Would you put it this way, of those three that I mentioned before, you're starting Pittman over DK, Cooper, and A.J. Brown, are you not?
Ooh. Not over DK.
Really? I am.
It's close. Oh, it's close, but not over DK. I know that if it's me, and I'm not one to buy into luck or anything like that, but I just know I make bad decisions. So I know the one time I go, yes, we're going Pittman, DK has the 200-yard game. It's kind of the same argument I just made for Kyler. And I'm just not going to overthink it at this point. If I somehow manage to make it through with DK over the last month and a half, basically, then I guess I'm just going to keep riding that wave.
Okay, fair enough. That'll be a fun one to monitor. DK versus Pittman this week. We have DeAndre Swift returning to practice.
Yes.
Jeff? Yeah, that would be interesting. So with Swift back, Craig Reynolds' time is done, right? We enjoyed 2 weeks. It was already in question. I had this on the slate to talk about with Jamal Williams coming back, but now that Jamal Williams is back from COVID and DeAndre Swift is practicing, this is just. But would you start Swift is now the question. Let's assume Swift returns. Is he going to be in the RB2 and the lead of this backfield?
Who's playing quarterback?
Well, so basically what you're getting at is you're only concerned if Goff is at quarterback, which is crazy to say, isn't it? That we're actually
I can't believe.
Can we get Goff at quarterback?
Yeah, can we please have Jared Goff? And it's for multiple reasons. Obviously, for Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been excellent with T.J. Hawkinson out. He's the only target, essentially. So yes, I would start Swift if he plays, because that's still an if. And if Goff plays. By the way, Craig Reynolds, though, I'm glad he got the contract, the 53 man. I hope he gets a crack at a job somewhere else, like as a number 2 or a number 3 next year. But I mean, I think he showed enough, took advantage of those 2 big opportunities on a bad team that is 2-1 over their last 3 games. But I hope he gets a crack, because kind of reminds me of Phillip Lindsay a little bit. I don't know if you saw that, but not the most athletic, not the fastest, but he finds space and generates yards. Like he's not a bad little player.
No, I could definitely see that comparison between the two. That's a good call there. All right, so then let's move to this next one. I'm definitely gonna get to more of your questions, because there's a lot of that are involved in some of the things we're talking about here. So, Cordarrelle Patterson, Jeff. I said. Now, it's interesting. So what I did late in the year, instead of doing sleepers, I changed my article and I changed it to potentially sit and then potentially start. Now, I put Cordarrelle Patterson in potentially start because I know people are hesitant, and it has to do with his usage. And what I put in the article is that the last 4 weeks, they've turned him into a lead timeshare running back, as in he's getting majority carries, very little passing game work. When they do split him out, sometimes they send him out wide, and they don't even use him as pass catcher out of the backfield, which also hurts him. And then some of the times when they run him, they're running him out wide, they're sweeping him, they're not even running him up the middle, and then when they get to the goal line, Kadri Olison comes in. But if you somehow survive with Cordarrelle Patterson, given the matchup, is that the only, let me kind of phrase it 2 ways for you, Jeff. Do you think the past couple of weeks are enough to be concerned about Cordarrelle Patterson, as he's not a must start anymore? And is that offset by the matchup where you can say, just keep him in your lineup?
That's the key. It's the matchup. We heard from Arthur Smith too. Like, there is a method to this madness. He talked about giving these veterans not necessarily a significantly reduced workload, but he was, managing their reps. And let's not forget, Cordarrelle Patterson, technically speaking, is north of 30 at running back, which is uncharted territory for a lot of these guys. But at the same time, the matchup trumps everything in this one. If you're facing one of these defenses, Lions, Jets, we know the list. You basically have to lock them in, because we're talking about touchdown productivity first and foremost.
Okay. So Cordarrelle Patterson in. Russell Gage, and I want to stick with these 2 teams. Russell Gage and Amon-Ra St. Brown, assuming Goff is at quarterback, do we have to just say they're essentially what Jacoby Myers were at the beginning of the year, and just keep them in your lineup as wide receiver 3s just on volume, right?
But they score touchdowns too on top of it.
I mean, that's
as much as the Atlanta Falcons offense annoys me. And how predictable was that, Jake? I've said it a couple times, and some Falcons fans have gotten after me, but literally every time they got into the red zone, it's like, all right, here comes Younghoe Koo, or 4th down. Now they failed.
No, I'll give it to you, Jeff. Pat explained it to me. All these years, he finally explained. He's broken the Matt Ryan code. He said Matt Ryan is the galaxy braining fantasy football DFS player. What happens is he gets to the 10-yard line. He's like, oh, defenses are going to double team Kyle Pitts, so I'm going to go him. Even though he's wide open, they're still trying to trick me. But I'm just not going to even go to Gage. I'm going to go to Zacchaeus, because they're trying to trick me by tricking me, and I'm going to think so far ahead of them that they're not going to be able to figure it out, and then they don't even get a touchdown.
So that's the high-level poker player, right? I know that you know that I know that you know
that's
that I
friends.
Know. Therefore, I'll just do the
basic
move.
We know. 100%. Is that not the best explanation for Matt Ryan you've ever heard?
I mean, it's pretty spot on. And I've had some people, like I said, going after me on Twitter. Imagine that, people going after you on Twitter, but about Matt Ryan, because now, so Jake, Kyle Pitts did not move up all time. He's still 5th, but in terms of rookie receiving yards among tight ends. But this week, no, he's right behind Charlie Young. So this week, he should jump up into 2nd, though. If he has like a normal 45, 50-yard type game, he'll jump up into 2nd all time. He has a shot at Dicka, but I mean, it's always going to be an asterisk because Dicka did it in 14 games.
The extra game, yeah.
An extra
oh, yeah, that's
games.
right. That's actually 2, yeah.
1961. That Dicka number's crazy. But regardless, the argument is Matt Ryan is why he has 1 touchdown. And I don't think Matt Ryan's going to change. It's not like they're going to go after, it's not the year to go after a quarterback this year in the draft. So it's still going to be a Matt Ryan dilemma next year, but at least he puts up the yards.
If you want somebody that you're thinking of for 2023, wherever Malik Willis goes, if you didn't watch the bowl game, everybody,
that kid.
I tweeted out, and this wasn't hyperbole of like I'm not saying he's this quarterback. Understand when I say this person type throws. Again, I'm not saying, but he was making Patrick Mahomes throws in that game, as in the scramble and not even being able to step into the throw and somehow still fling it. It goes 40 yards off his wrong foot. He was backing up in the pocket. There's 2 plays, so everybody just go watch this. It's this part of the season anyway. There's one where they're going right to left on the screen. He's backing up in the pocket, going backwards, and still throws it downfield 40 yards over the middle of the field for a completion. The one I was talking about with the Patrick Mahomes is he had to force to roll out to the top of the screen going left to right, and then still doesn't get the set and points, does the whole point go and flings it down. Trust me, if the right team gets their hands on him, 2023 is going to be a hell of fun for Malik Willis. What wasn't fun? Odell Beckham. Do you go right back to Odell Beckham after what happened in this game? It's just this goes back to the COVID situation, sitting out, and he was questionable for the game and got activated. So do we kind of just chalk that up to didn't really get to practice all week?
I mean, that could be part of it. I also think, though, that there's a very real possibility that you don't go back to him because you're eliminated.
That's true.
No joke. There was a couple situations like that. Like you mentioned Michael Carter. You obviously mentioned the DB, but the other Michael Carter. Okay, well, you may not be playing this week because of that. I'm not because of that in the league. So I let's put it this way: Cooper Kupp has a legit shot of breaking Michael Thomas's record, by the way. Now, it's 17 games. Michael Thomas, the number he put up in 16 games, 149. That's crazy. Cooper Kupp has a shot at 100. Well, he's on pace for 148 right now in 17 games. But having him out there, obviously, him and Stafford have this thing. So now it's, do you go Van or do you go OBJ? And I'm leaning Van slightly this week, but I'm not overly bullish on either of them.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch, and we'll have to go through that. But yeah, I think Van and Odell Beckham are still in a similar conversation.
Yeah.
I am. Something I go back to is something I was talking about with D'Angelo Williams when we did the podcast together last year. And he was talking, this is running backs, but it pulls into this. He said sometimes, running backs get benched, quote unquote, during weeks, or touches go down because they missed assignments in practice or something happened. I know practice is practice, Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice. But it does matter. Yes, Odell Beckham could walk onto any team, any field tomorrow and play wide receiver. But do you not remember when he first got, and I'm saying this to say, perfect example, when he first got to the Rams, first game, we have some plays for him, barely on the field. Practice does matter to a degree. And so that's why I'm kind of not throwing away the Odell Beckham game. Hopefully nobody even just waited for him, though. I'm going to say this, Jeff. I'm going to say throw away your opinion of this player because we haven't wanted to trust the Bills running back. And trust is a very tough word to use with the Bills backfield. However, there was one running back that got a touch last week. And I said, a touch. Matt Breida got a touch. As I can't even say his name. Isaiah McKenzie got the other one. And then Josh Allen ran for 3. But Singletary, 97%. Do we have to trust Devin Singletary at this point?
I mean, I think trust is a very strong word. We
I know,
trusted
yeah.
Zach Moss earlier in the year. Remember that? Remember, he was healthy scratch. That was week 1, right? And then boom, it looked like he was going to be the guy. And then all of a sudden it was a committee. And then all of a sudden Matt Breida. And then he was a healthy scratch again. And then he was back. And now he's not. And I think that it's just one of these almost quasi-Belichick type situations. If you were able to take advantage of Singletary last week, that's great. But I'm not going to rank him higher than flex territory. He's not going to be a top 25 back for me this week.
Okay. Would you start? How about this? Would you Jeff Wilson or Devin Singletary? No, Elijah Mitchell, obviously.
Jeff Wilson.
Okay, I think that's where the trust comes into play. How about Damian Harris should return this week? Damian Harris or Devin Singletary?
Ooh, probably. So if Harris does return, and that's one of those, they were sort of like a paper champ type run defense earlier in the year. You can run on the Bills, though. Good run games can run on the Bills, as we know.
Yes, 100%.
So I think I would lean Stevenson, and I know people are going to be burnt by him, and maybe you're not playing this week because of him as well, but I would lean Stevenson. So I guess, yes, it probably would be Singletary, but it's one of those, I don't know if you had that, Jake, where you have like Stevenson at 26 and then Harris at 31, and then Singletary would like split the uprights on him. I think that's how it's going to work out.
So I actually have them opposite, but so right now I have Harris at 22, Singletary at 24, Stevenson at 29.
Yeah,
that's how I have them as of right now. I just think that Harris goes back to. I'm with you. Look, I had Stevenson as a fringe RB1 once we got that news, but nobody expected that game to go sideways and get game scripted out of it that fast. That just hey, these kind of things happen. But I think that's the biggest thing we got to here is that nobody really wants to trust Singletary. We just broke down that situation. Let's get back to Michael Carter, the running back Michael Carter, the one that kind of killed a lot of people last week. And I had Carter too high for somebody who was saying, I legitimately think it's a split backfield with Tevin Coleman. But first game back to this COVID situation, do you think Michael Carter sees an uptick this week? And if of course, we don't know that breakout, but it's against Jacksonville. Or maybe Tevin Coleman and Michael Carter both in play for you, Jeff. That's week 16. Isn't that insane? We're legitimately saying that 2 Jets running backs might be in play.
Yeah, how about the Jets defense being in play too, which is odd. All right, so Carter right now at 29.
Okay.
Tevin Coleman is not in play, I don't think. No, I have him at 42.
Let me see where I have Tevin Coleman.
Are we close to
44?
You're like, you have him at 34?
44.
Oh, why do you hate him so much?
I know. I have Coleman 2 spots behind you and Carter 1 spot behind you. So it's not even
so I really
great.
Love that backfield. I don't know why am I all in.
Yeah. All in Jets, man. And I'm the one with where is it? I have the signed Michael Carter helmet. Oh, it's way up there now. I had to move some things around to get Austin Ekeler up here, who got hurt as soon as I got his signed helmet. I have a Michael Carter signed helmet. He came to Richmond here in Virginia. So how about, would you go Rashaad Penny or Devin Singletary? Because Rashaad Penny, for anybody that might not have, and understandably so, tuned out of that game, but Rashaad Penny was controlling that backfield before and after leaving the game. But that's the key, everybody. Once again, Rashaad Penny left the game, went to the locker room for chiropractic help. And that's when DJ Dallas scored his touchdown and got the majority of his touches. But Penny was the lead. We might have Alex Collins coming back this week, Jeff. Penny or Singletary? This one, I'm going Singletary in this one.
I'm still going Penny. How does one get chiropractic help in the middle of their workday? That's what I need right now. Could use a little back adjustment or something.
Chiropractic only takes like 10 minutes.
It was the strangest thing. And of course, when it happened, I'm sitting there like, yeah, a week and a half. That's all it took. But, they do have the commitment to the run. The passing game is far from firing on all cylinders. And as long as he stays healthy enough, I'm going to use him. So I have Penny ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm trying to see if we can do any more of I want to get you to say Singletary. Good grief. How about, are you going both Broncos running backs over Devin Singletary? Both of them.
I am.
I mean, I know you're probably going, okay, I know you're going Javonte. So that's what I was basically, I should have just said Melvin Gordon. How would you, Donta Foreman or Devin Singletary?
Foreman, I was so relieved to see him practicing too.
Meanwhile, if that was like Barkley's or Penny's or Mixon's ankle, like they'd be done for the rest of their life. If Donta Foreman's like, oh, I'm coming back into the game. I'm awesome. Like, what the hell? That was just... AJ Dillon on the back half is his timeshare or Devin Singletary?
Devin Singletary. By the way,
yay!
Foreman, though, everybody with the Derrick Henry questions, he's not going to come back. I just don't see him coming back next week. I know that was the very beginning of the timetable. That's where we've been focused on forever, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. And, we got to go 1-0 this week, or, we just don't want to lose as many leagues as you're in this week. And then we'll worry about next week, but I don't think he's going to be back. And even if he is back, I would be a little reluctant to use him.
By the way, Jeff, you and I both advanced in the flex leagues.
Yes.
Congratulations to you.
Yes, thank you.
I overcame Eric Young. I started off the week facing Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. I was like, well, I'm done. See you later. And then here's the best part about it. We were actually texting last night because Rashaad Penny, I only needed 4 from Rashaad Penny. You want to talk about squeaking that one out, which didn't look like the case until he left to the locker room. So, I had to sweat that one out. Do we have to talk about the Giants, Jeff? Do we? We do. And here's why.
Jake Fromm?
I mean, the Frominator, yes, might be at quarterback. No, because they're down Sterling Shepard, and that's really what it comes down to. And it's not even Kenny Galladay. I don't care that they're force feeding him. I don't care that the fact that the offense had a spark with Jake Fromm at quarterback. It was also garbage time, so spark might be relative to what's going on in the game at the time. That's what it would be. Kadarius Toney is the question I have for you. Missed time for COVID and an injury. But we've seen what he does when he's on the field and the Sterling Shepard role with no Sterling Shepard. Specifically, this situation we're about to walk into, Jeff. Is there any world where you put Kadarius Toney into your lineup?
I don't think so. So I really think you'd really have to be scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Toney or OBJ? Odell Beckham?
I'm just going to go with Beckham. Yeah, as much as I don't like it. But his quarterback is Matthew Stafford, and his offensive system is more effective.
I got a good one for you.
Okay.
Kadarius Toney or Amon-Ra St. Brown with David Blau or Tim Boyle?
It would probably be Tim Boyle, right? Fine. Kadarius Toney. I don't think they generate more than the 100 passing yards, and they can't all go to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, at least the good thing is that Josh Reynolds profiles for the tougher coverage a little bit, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, we'll have to see how that. It doesn't really matter if it is Tim Boyle. How about a running back situation? This is the inverse of Singletary. I think it's like every time we're ready to give up on Miles Sanders, we get sucked back in.
The Godfather Part 3.
Oh my God. It's like everybody's healthy. All Eagles running backs are active. And Miles Sanders goes ham in week 15 when nobody wanted to wait on him. I had a lot of people tweeting me, and I said, I feel the pain. Fortunately, they weren't blaming me, Jeff, because it was kind of like, I don't want to wait on Sanders and find out he's got COVID. And then 2, I don't want to wait and find out they're all active. I'm just going to go play blank. And a lot of people played mediocre options. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Stevenson, not wanting to wait on Miles Sanders. Unfortunately, a lot of people missed that good game. So we just saw what Miles Sanders did. We saw what Miles Sanders was doing before the backfield was fully healthy. Does that give you enough confidence to say, how about this, Miles Sanders or Devin Singletary in week 16?
Oh, boy. Miles Sanders, I have ahead of Devin Singletary. So
right, I'm with
there we go. I have him up
week 16, everybody.
Yeah, back in RB2. Yeah, Miles Sanders it is. Of course, that means that Jordan Howard will score 3 touchdowns this week. So bet that one. If you're a sports bettor, get that line out there. Jake, I had somebody who hit me up on Twitter who had Duke Johnson with 2 touchdowns, put $25 on that ticket and won like $1,600. How do you even bet that with any confidence?
Like, I have no problem losing $25 on a bet, but that's like me buying $25 of scratchers. Like that, I would never do that.
Yeah,
it's like going to play. Well, I'm trying to think. We were talking about poker before. Blackjack. You got like King 8. Hit me.
Yeah.
And like you get the 3. Like, what are you doing?
Or better yet, just $25 in slot machines right there. Just
there
light
you
it
go,
on fire.
Oh my God. All right. Here's one, Jeff. I'll ask you to kind of rank this. Where do you have these in your rankings right now? Let's do Singletary, Miles Sanders, and the Rams running backs.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Sanders 24, Sony Michel 27, Singletary Sony Michel 26, Singletary 27, Darrell Henderson 32.
I'm very close to the only ones I have flipped are Singletary and Michel. Those are the opposite.
Okay.
So would you have Sanders? What was the number on Sanders?
Sanders was the top, yeah.
No, what was his rank?
Oh, 24.
Oh, why do you hate Sanders?
I'm a Philadelphian, true Philadelphian, I guess.
20, 24, 26, and 32 for me. So we're all very close.
You
but
love him.
Yeah, I love Miles Sanders. He's the best running back in the history forever. I don't know. Start Miles Sanders and ride him to a championship. How about burying the lead on this entire show, Jeff? Leonard Fournette is out. Leonard Fournette going to the IR. Ronald Jones takes over. Ronald Jones has looked good in his time out there, but we also know what Ronald Jones is in the passing game. That being said, he plays for the Buccaneers, and LeGarrette Blount had no problem playing with Tom Brady's offense and doing what he did. So they signed Le'Veon Bell. We know Keyshawn Vaughn's pass catcher, Giovanni Bernard-ish.
Yeah.
How high is Ronald Jones for you?
Right now, I guess I'm maybe somewhat conservative on him. No, actually, I'm not. I have him at 13. I moved him up a little bit from earlier today. I ran projections. I think I guess that's fairly conservative. Maybe. What do you have him? Top 12?
I'm at 8.
Wow.
I might be too bullish, honestly. Here's why. Well, let's talk it out. We'll do it quickly because if anybody has any of these guys, here's the answer it comes down to, Jeff. Forget whether he's 8, forget where he's 13, if he's 5, if he's 18. Our answer is what we're telling people is if you got Ronald Jones, you're playing Ronald Jones.
Oh, yeah. And if he's still out there, your waivers run tonight, like ESPN's run tonight. And I know, he's not out there in my league. I wish he was out there. How could I get into that league? All right, we've heard it all before, buddy.
If they're listening to our show, they can say that, Jeff, because they wouldn't be in your league if you're watching this show.
No, definitely not. I ran out Jake in flex when Leonard Fournette missed that second practice last week and added him. Because I had Leonard Fournette in that. So key spot, got him ahead of the curve.
My flex league is better than yours.
He was rostered all along.
Yeah. I was able to pick up Rashaad Penny, though, that 1 week.
See?
So that worked out well.
There you go. So, yeah,
different.
if he's out there, even if you think you don't need him, pick him up. Even if you think you won't start him, keep him on your bench then, as long as you don't have to face him. And hey, he may end up being a dud, but if Ronald Jones goes out and he does what Jake thinks or better, that guy's going to help people win a lot of games this week.
Going to beat you. Perfect example. I'll give you somebody in my waiver column asked me this, Jeff, and he's like loaded at running back. Kudos to you. I don't know kudos for getting shut out on the show. Whoever it was, and he's like, here's my roster. The last running back worthy of dropping, if I ranked his running backs, I told him drop Michael Carter. Yeah. Because he's in a timeshare. And what's more likely to beat you? Because he's like, I don't really need him, but I don't want my opponent to get him. I was like, absolutely not. Drop Michael Carter, go get Ronald Jones, because who's more likely to give you that 20-point game and blow up in your face on your opponent's team? It's Ronald Jones.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
So
I could see him 20-plus carries easily. I'm not going to project him that high, but if we were talking about it after the fact and, Ronald Jones went 22 for 140 and 2 touchdowns, totally within the realm of possibility.
How about Antonio Brown? He's right back into your lineup, even if Mike Evans plays?
Yeah, I do think so. And, I wasn't sure if he was actually going to be brought back, but obviously the Godwin thing forced their hand. And then on top of that,
how that works out.
Yeah, on Tom Brady's podcast, so he does a podcast for SiriusXM, he had talked about Antonio Brown coming back. So that was, at that point, once I heard that, I'm like, okay, well, he's coming back. Yeah, he's a wide receiver 2+, even with Evans. And then if without Evans, oh, man, I'm going to have him pretty darn high. He'll be up in the top. He'll be in the top 10.
He will be. All right. So 2 more interesting situations before we get out of here. Austin Ekeler. Mm-hmm. Nobody seems to know if he has COVID or not. Because it's, hey, he's on COVID. And he's like, no, wait, no, he's not. He's not on their list. And then the beat reporters were like, well, he did. They just didn't update their list or blah. Nobody the hell knows.
Nobody knows.
Your 7 to 8 day window is pretty accurate, even if it's 5. Point is, if it happens today, Jeff, if we get official word today that Ekeler has it, this is the question we need. Because we know Ekeler, you're starting Ekeler. If Ekeler's out, have you seen enough to feel confident, and I put that in quotes because it's very similar to a lot of situations, but enough from Jackson being the first man up and then Kelly getting his opportunities last week but fumbling one of them away, that Jackson is the one that would be in play for you?
He is, and the benefit to the way they have done things this season is Jackson is not he's just a guy running back. But right now, he looks like he's in fast forward compared to a lot of guys out there because he's still fresh. So you get a little bit of a benefit with him, and yeah, he would be the clear guy.
Okay. This next situation to talk about is very interesting for quarterbacks because this is one where let's get back and pull into the Dak conversation. I know you said you would play Dak over a situation like Fields, but let's talk about two quarterbacks facing each other, and that's Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Which way do you lean? Because it was garbage time for Fields, but the two 20-point games that he had before this weren't garbage time. He finally woke up and decided to run in the fourth quarter, and Nagy actually also let him pass finally in the fourth quarter. But yeah. Russell Wilson has been off. Even now that his finger's 100%, he's still just not on the same page with DK Metcalf. There was a report, if anybody didn't see it today, I think it was from The Athletic. I don't remember. If it's not, credit to whoever it was. Sorry if I gave miscredit on that. But a report about that DK and Russell Wilson just aren't on the same page. But he's getting Lockett back. But again, what we started the show with, we don't know what Lockett's going to be feeling like. If you're in your championship potential for next week, and this is on the line, it's your roster, Jeff. You have to make the call. Russell Wilson or Justin Fields is your starting quarterback.
Just a note, too, for the future. If we hear players talking about how complex the offense is, we should probably take note of that. That could be a contributing factor here a little bit. Getting Lockett back, even if he's not 100%, is going to help Russell Wilson out. They have been on the same page, obviously, in that offense. I will go with Wilson, but I will tell you also that he is 14 and Fields is 15. So it is not an easy decision, but I would go with Wilson.
Super, super, super close. Last one before we get out of here. James Conner, new injury. Sounds like he might be okay. So this is how we have to play it because we all know if James Conner's out, you're playing Chase Edmonds. Nobody needs to tell you that. But if James Conner plays, do we roll them both out there basically as their version of the Broncos and you just hope that they both have good games? Or do you have a feeling on the one that James Conner's now getting banged up? Maybe you're leaning a little bit more Edmonds at this point.
No, I would still roll with James Conner as an RB2, Edmonds as a flex RB3 option. Not confident in that right now, just given Conner, but his appeal is his short yardage usage. Edmonds' appeal is his big playability. And to me, that's what differentiates them. That's why I have them ranked the way they are.
All right, and you can find all Jeff's rankings. If you're following Jeff, make sure you check out all his work. Also, FTN, I forgot to mention that at the top. Code ALLIN, 20% off, theathletic.com/betstv, all capitals. Get your first free month. Takes you into the new year. We will continue to help you and update rankings and get everything out there. You can go yell at me about my Christmas rankings. You want to talk about people coming at you, Jeff, on Twitter? I had people yelling me up. I was having too much fun talking Christmas at the beginning of my article this week. That's the spirit of this world. Please go enjoy this week. Enjoy the holidays, Christmas or not. Enjoy your family. Try to enjoy football. Hopefully everybody's okay this week and survives next week. We'll be back no matter what to talk ranks in Week 17. Goodbye.